A few other stories making headlines in Australia this morning with disability advocate and speaker Catherine Peer-Broom. Thank you so much for being with us this morning, Catherine.
Thank you for having me again.
Welcome. Right, so let's go back to that Guardian story. Now, the ABS, this is from figures from the ABS, who are basically saying that supermarkets have a major influence on household diets because they discount items, but these are unhealthy items.
Absolutely. And, you know, when you're looking at inflation and cost of living at the moment, people are trying to make their budget extend as far as possible. So when you've got major grocery chains influencing households with their strategic marketing campaigns, it really does look to those discounted items. And I have to say, as a parent with special needs children, when those safe food items are on sale, I'm one of those consumers. I will purchase at a higher rate to know that, one, I'm getting the benefit of the discount, but two, I've got stock of what their favourite foods are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it strikes me that this kind of issue could be something that really needs to be looked into with regards in that whole inquiry into our supermarkets and how this impacts people.
And I think the fact that Parliament is now really hyper-focusing on these retail chains and making sure that the Australian people are getting a fair go is what we should be doing, and they should be focusing on it. When you've got the Australian people suffering the way that they are in so many aspects of their life, putting food on the table shouldn't be one of them.
No, and especially healthy foods as well, because
Exactly.
as you say, you know, it does impact on development of children in particular.
It does, and when you've got other countries leading the way, such as the UK and Canada, they're not allowed to put sugary and high-fat products as promotional products. We should be following that lead, making sure that there are healthy options, that a little handful of grapes shouldn't be $14 and a family pizza is $3.
It's funny, isn't it? Because once we start to address that, we will see that the healthcare system will be less burdened as well.
Absolutely, I totally agree.
Yeah.
If we're making healthy choices, we're living a healthier life, and it is a reduction on you know, Medicare and our hospital systems and health systems, for sure.
The second story that we wanted to have a look at today with you was this one from the Daily Telegraph about police urging parents to think before posting school photos online because it could lead to predators seeking out children.
And isn't that a sad state of affairs?
Terrible.
Where posting one of the most memorable days of your child's life is now a target for predators. But we need to be savvy. It is a technology-based world. So if you do want to share those images of your children, remove the school logo from the photo. Make sure that in your phone settings, your location isn't identifiable. Don't put the address on there. Use ways to protect your children. Even just send it in a text message to your loved ones. It doesn't need to go on a public profile on your Instagram page or your Facebook page. Some things can remain private, especially when it comes to the safety of our children.
And of course, the article also talks about how parents need to talk to kids about online safety, about being aware of grooming methods or exploitation.
Safety methods and technology are such a huge topic, and they continue to grow every single day. Parents, I urge you to have those conversations with your children as young as 5 and 6, because they're on YouTube and they're on these programs constantly with iPads and devices. So have those conversations, don't shy away from them. And if you're not comfortable, do a little bit of homework. So you've got 5 or 6 bullet points to share with your kids.
Actually, good point, yeah.
And you're right, if you start those conversations early, and it's not about scaring your children, but it's about keeping those lines of communication open. Right from when they are young, right through as teenagers as well, when it becomes really the issues are different, but it's still that similar aspect of being targeted online.
Couldn't agree more. And transparency in those parental and child relationships is so crucial. the more you can keep those lines of communication open from a young age, when they do get into teenagehood and they're starting to get exposed to different types of predators and scenarios, you want them to come back to you and say, this is what's happening.
Yeah. Let's move on to this other article from news.com.au. This is a very distressing story, this one about the experience and of a disabled woman and the abuse that she had at the hands of her carers.
Sadly, this story, not only is it horrific, but there are so many more of her. And that's what the Royal Disability Commission was uncovering for the last 4 years. She received, at the hands of people who were supposed to care for her, the most horrific scenarios, from black eyes to dehumanising shaving of her head, sexual assaults, and her rights were violated not once, not twice, but so many times. And the bigger picture was never analysed. A support worker who sexually assaulted her was just moved to a different group home. This is unacceptable. And I don't think, whilst the article and the Commission stipulate that removing group homes entirely is a solution, I don't think that that is the right way forward. There are good people who are in good homes with a good setup. What we need to do is have a vetting system that weeds out the worst in the industry. And it's not just this industry, it's aged care, it's lots of industries. And, you know, and there are ways that we can immediately change things by putting security cameras in properties. It's a low-cost tech that is very effective, that provides safety for individuals who are that vulnerable. And I can tell you personally, 2 years ago, I rescued a little 9-year-old boy, autistic, non-verbal, intellectually disabled, whose mother sadly passed at her own hands. And he was brutalised. And at the hands of, I worked very closely with Child Protective Services in Brisbane, and we were able to relocate this little boy into a beautiful home. But he's alone with carers 24/7. And it's not a life for a child either, but he is in good hands in a good home. And I keep in touch with him weekly to make sure that he is okay. There are good providers. We just need to weed out the ones so this poor woman's experience is not continually replicated.
And there's many horrifying stories that have been published as part of the Disability Royal Commission. They've been published on their website. They are de-identified and they are part of either the private sessions or the submissions that were made to the Royal Commission. They deal with all sorts of issues, but at the heart of it, violence, abuse, neglect and exploitation, which is what the Commission looked into. And we're expecting next month for a response from the federal government to the Royal Commission report and just how they are going to deal with the hundreds of recommendations that have been made by that. And at the same time, we've also got in parallel the NDIS review, which also has a role to play in all of this as well.
And in both scenarios, the disability community and the support network around that, we are waiting with bated breath. So we're looking forward to these recommendations to see how it is actually practically going to support the community.
Catherine, thank you so much for being with us and for highlighting these really important issues and stories. We really appreciate it.
Thank you again for your time.
Thanks, Catherine.